After hundreds of DIY projects, there are some supplies I reach for almost every single week. And these aren't trendy tools or things I bought once and forgot about. These are actually the ones that make your projects turn out better, easier, and last longer. So today I thought I'd share the supplies that have truly earned their place in my craft room workshop. One of the biggest upgrades I ever made for my DIYs was getting a good sander. It saves so much time compared to sanding by hand, and it gives you a much smoother surface before you even start painting. I also like to use it in between coats sometimes if you want a really smooth finish with like a 220 grit, or if I'm dealing with a really rough piece of wood, it's great to have this and it can do a lot of the work for you. If I had to pick one tool to start for my furniture upcycling, this would probably be it. This is my favorite, the Ryobi hand sander, palm sander, and it comes with a rechargeable battery that you can plop right in. And what I love is you can take it with you. You're not tied to a cord, and then you just have your removable different size grits. I've got some 220, 240, 180. I got some 40, really aggressive, and you just push it on and sand your project. The cordless sold me on this one, and it is a game changer in your craft room. A really good sealer is something I use constantly, and I would be lost without my polyacrylic sealer. It gives a durable finish after your projects are done, and I use this on painted furniture, signs, almost honestly everything, and it even works great for transfers. I have a fantastic project I did where I made a huge coffee sign for over my coffee bar using the polyacrylic sealer as a transfer method. I'll put the QR code right here and you can watch that because that's a really great way to use polyacrylic sealer, and it just helps with the finished look more. It lasts longer. It's water-based, so it's easy to clean up, and it does not yellow like a varnish that's an oil base. It comes in all kinds of finishes. You can get gloss, matte, whatever you prefer. I always have this in my craft room, and when it starts to get low, I start to panic and know I need to buy some more. This one surprises people, but I use joint compound in a lot of my paint recipes. I find it smoother and not as grainy, and it's easier to control than the plaster of Paris. And it gives a really great adhesion and texture when you want that chalk style finish. I can adjust the thickness, and it's also one of the reasons my paint finishes turned out so beautifully and nice and smooth. Mix it in to a really easy chalk paint recipe. I have a full tutorial on how I make my chalk paint with this joint compound. I'll put the QR code right here. We'll also put the link down below in the description so you can watch that. I have completely switched from using plaster of Paris to using joint compound whenever I'm making my chalk paint. Love it. It's a staple in my craft room. I've tried a lot of paintbrushes over the years, and I have one reliable brush, and it makes a huge difference in my projects. And it is this Wooster angle paintbrush, and you can see the handle is flexible. It's easy to hang on to for small hands, get into little corners. I find a good brush lays paint more evenly. It's gonna reduce streaks, and it's gonna save time fixing those mistakes later. I don't have a dozen brushes. As you can see, I only have a few. You just need one or two that you're gonna trust. And this is my favorite, the Wooster Shortcut. And I will put the link to it down below in the description. I buy one of these every couple months, and it probably should last longer, but I'm not very good about cleaning my paintbrushes properly. And I need to get better at that. They kind of get hard, but these are really reasonably priced. Love them. You should give them a try. I love Rub and Buff. It's one of my favorite little finishing tricks, and you can use it on hardware, you can use it on frames, you can use it on raised details, anywhere you want to add a little bit of depth or make something look a little bit more antique. I always grab my rub and buff. A tiny bit goes a long way, and it's just a really nice way to elevate a piece without spending a whole bunch of money. I love doing it. I have a handle here, and you can use a little, I have an old stencil brush that I use. Comes in different colors too. I find mine on Amazon. I'll put the link down below in the description. You just need a little tiny bit. You can put it on a brush, or you can put it on a little cloth, or you can even use your finger if you want. But I'll just show you. You just brush it on, and it just gives a beautiful raised gold look. Now this color is antique gold, but find one that you like and experiment with it. Really makes a huge difference on those raised pieces. I'll show you. Look at the difference. Isn't that beautiful? Rub and buff is a must in your craft room. If I was asked, would I grab every day in my craft room or would I use the most? My answer would be Mod Podge. It's my most used product in my craft room. I use it for transfers, sealing, napkin layers, decoupage, all kinds of things. And I have tested a lot of alternatives over the years, but I still come back because it's predictable and it works. It's one of those projects that just takes the stress out of it because you know it's always going to do what it's supposed to. I love it for my transfers. I have so many transfer videos using Mod Podge on my channel. You can kind of explore and look around and see some of the different ways that you can do it with an inkjet, with a laser. If you're doing a huge decoupage project, you can get away with the homemade version, and I have a really great recipe for that. It works really great for, I was decoupaging a lampshade not that long ago, and I mixed up a homemade one just because it's a little bit more affordable. But if you're wanting to do transfers, the homemade does not work. You have to stick with Mod Podge, and this is one of the products that I would recommend buying if you're just starting crafting, and experiment with it right away. This isn't something I use every day, but when I need something to actually stay put, this is the one I grab, E6000. It's gonna work on mixed materials like metal, wood, glass, and it dries flexible, so pieces don't pop off later. It's not the prettiest glue to work with. The packaging, horrible. Trying to fight with it to get it out, and it glues the lid on sometimes. But it's very dependable. So I keep buying it because I can put up with that. I actually put it in a little toothpaste squeezer, and it helps dispense it a little bit better. That's a little bit of a hack when you're using the E6000, but this is definitely a glue that I grab when I want something to stick really well. This is one of my go-to tools for so many projects. It really gives a quick, solid hold, especially when I'm attaching embellishments or building layers. And I often use it alongside of E6000. The hot glue holds everything in place right away while that E6000 cures, and it creates a stronger long-term bond. It just makes the whole process faster, less frustrating. You don't have to worry about things falling apart because the hot glue will keep it in place while the E6000 is doing its job. I love this Sure Bonder. It's a cordless model, which I love. The only thing I do find, it slips a little bit on my table. So I had actually one of my followers give me a little bit of hack. They said to get some shelf liner and put it underneath, and it actually did the trick. Now this one also has 4 little holes that you can drill it right into your craft table. I'm actually kind of considering that because I don't think it'll be in the way too much, and it won't wiggle around when I'm using it. But I love not being tied to a cord, and this one heats up really quickly, which makes it really convenient when I'm working on different parts of a project and I need it to stay hot. Now, my favorite hot glue sticks, you cannot beat the Gorilla Glue sticks. They work fantastic. Always, you can see I buy them in the great big bag like this because they're reliable and they work really well. So if you're in the market for a hot glue gun, check out the Sure Bonder cordless model. I'll put the link to that down below in the description, and grab yourself some Gorilla hot glue sticks for your craft room. You won't be disappointed. If you do transfers, laser printers make a huge difference. The ink doesn't smear the way it does with an inkjet, and the results are just way more consistent. It's definitely worth it if you plan to do transfers regularly to maybe purchase a laser printer. This is a Brother, and this is the second Brother laser printer that I've had. The first one lasted years and years and years. I actually just replaced it because the drum went in it, but love it. Works fantastic for any transfer I need it to. I have lots of transfer videos that you can go through and have a look and see the different ways that you can do it. But you're not, and also they're, also they are not as expensive as they used to be. They used to be really expensive and almost unaffordable, but now they've come down in price and they're only around $200. So it's a pretty good investment if you're going to be doing a lot of transfers, and especially if you're going to be selling the little signs that you make, because it makes the job so much quicker. That being said, if you only have an inkjet printer, then you're not limited to doing transfers. You still can. It's just a little bit more tricky. I do have a comparison video doing the laser and the inkjet side by side so you can see the difference. But definitely, I would invest in a laser printer if you can afford it and have one in your craft room. I always save label sheets. They're fantastic for doing transfers. It's that little trick that you need to do them properly. These are stickers that I think these came from the dollar store, little yard sale sticker sheets, and you just peel off the stickers after you're done with them. And actually, I save these and I put them in my junk journals or my mixed media projects. Don't get rid of them. And then we want this shiny paper to print on with your laser printer. And there's so many different techniques that you can do with these little sheets. Now, these come on like old CD labels, stickers, the yard sale stickers, labels. They're really easy to find. And actually, I find them in the thrift store a lot. And they're half the price of what you would pay if you were buying them new in the stationery store. These just have enough gloss, so when you put an image on it, it releases cleanly onto another surface, and you're going to get sharper results, less peeling and tearing than when you're using the Mod Podge technique. And it also lets you do those transfers. So especially if you have arthritis in your fingers and stuff like that, when you're using the Mod Podge and you have to rub off all the paper, this eliminates that when you're using this for this transfer technique. It's a small thing, but it makes the process smoother and the finish look better. Again, I have lots of transfer videos showing how to do this. This is definitely something I have a whole bunch in my craft room for that I reach for when I'm doing transfers. It's a must in my craft room. When using these label sheets, it's actually the kind of project where my graphic library comes in really handy. Inside our Upcycled Society, I have a whole collection of printable graphics that members can download and use on projects like this all the time. We got transfers, you can make signs, you can make journal covers, mixed media projects, all kinds of things. And I'm always adding new ones every week, so it's really fun to see what people end up making with them. If you enjoy these kinds of DIY projects and having a little bit of creative inspiration ready to go, you might really enjoy it over there. I'll leave the details to our Upcycled Society down below in the description if you're curious. One thing I use all the time before painting is just good old dish soap and water. My favorite being Dawn. Even if a piece looks clean, there is usually dust, oil, residue on the surface, and that can affect how your paint is going to stick if you're going to be painting a project. It's a simple step. It makes a huge difference in how projects turn out. And Dawn is definitely my favorite because it cuts through that grease really well. That's what it's known for. And it's my go-to in my craft room. I always have some on my sink sitting there so I can scrub up things to clean them up or get them ready to paint. These are just some of the supplies that have actually earned their place in my workshop, the ones that I reach for week after week. And then there's a few more, but these are the main staples that I use all the time. And if you'd like, I could also make a video about the supplies I have stopped using over the years because not everything works the way that you would expect it. Let me know if you want to see something like that. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. And if you loved this video, YouTube thinks you're gonna love this next one. So stick around.